Right now, as we speak, there are probably 100 people standing waist deep in a freezing New Zealand lake.
Oh, at least 100.
Right. Just elbowing each other in the ribs, all trying to capture the exact same photo of a single crooked willow tree.
It's wild.
It really is. I mean, usually when you plan a dream vacation, you expect this pure, uninterrupted magic, right? You see a pristine landscape online, and your brain just automatically deletes the 300 other tourists standing just outside the frame holding selfie sticks.
We all do it. We want that wild, untouched terrain. But, we subconsciously demand it be served up with a convenient parking lot and a gift shop.
Which brings us to the very specific, highly strict mission you gave us for today's deep dive. Because you reached out and made it abundantly clear, you literally said, I asked you to reveal 20 New Zealand tourist traps right in order, but you gave me a scatter shot of different locations. You didn't rank them by numbers. Redo it.
Message received loud and clear.
Exactly. No jumping around, no scattershot locations. A definitive 1 to 20 teardown in strict numerical order. And we have the sources to deliver on this. We're pulling from on-the-ground travel vlogs like Emily and NZ, passionate debates from Reddit travel communities, deep dive blogs like Craving Adventure and Triptopedia, and most importantly, a highly detailed analytical report on recreational overcapacity in Oceania.
Yeah, that overcapacity report is the key to all of this. Because our goal today isn't to say New Zealand is a bad destination.
Oh, not at all.
Right. It's objectively spectacular. But the analysts in these reports point to a concept called spatial diversification.
Spatial diversification.
Basically, finding the hidden gem directly adjacent to the overcrowded one. If you master that and learn how to find, what they call windows of silence by controlling your timing, you unlock a completely different version of the country.
Okay, let's unpack this. We are kicking off segment 1, the Insta-famous illusions and urban disappointments. Starting right at the top, number 1, that Wanaka tree.
The tree so famous, it literally has its own hashtag?
Exactly. It's just a small willow tree growing in the shallows of Lake Wanaka. And this perfectly highlights how social media funnels thousands of people to a single GPS coordinate. The landscape is entirely stripped of its context because everyone is treating this one piece of wood like it's the Mona Lisa.
Yeah, you arrive expecting serenity and find a mosh pit of tripods.
It's awful. So what's the alternative?
Well, it's the ultimate geographical funnel. But if you practice spatial diversification, the solution is 10 minutes away. Just skip Wanaka and drive slightly north to Lake Hawea.
Lake Hawea?
Right. Because it sits in a similarly carved glacial valley, you get the exact same sweeping, dramatic alpine waters, but the tourist funnel hasn't reached it yet. You can actually sit on the shore in absolute peace.
That exact same hyper-focused funneling effect brings us to trap number 2 on the coast, the Moeraki Boulders. These are large spherical rocks sitting on a beach on the South Island, and they get over 300,000 visitors annually.
It's a massive number.
Yeah, but honestly, when you arrive, they're physically much smaller than the photographs suggest. And you're fighting endless busloads of tourists just to see them.
Not to mention the heavy commercialization. The natural wonder is entirely diluted when you're instantly funneled into a cafe selling $25 pancakes.
Right. I was reading about the pioneers at Tunnel Beach in Dunedin. Didn't they literally hand carve a passageway through solid rock just to escape the public and get to the water? That seems like the perfect antidote to the Moeraki crowds.
Oh, it is absolutely the superior alternative. Rather than looking at smooth rocks shoulder to shoulder with strangers, you hike down a spectacular, sheer, rocky coastline.
Wow.
Yeah, and that 1870s hand-carved tunnel opens up to a private, secluded beach. The crashing waves and the sheer isolation of the limestone cliffs there, it offers a much more powerful connection to the environment.
Which perfectly transitions to trap number 3, where the environment is entirely concrete, Auckland's central business district. Now, a lot of international flights land here, so people stay. But wait, isn't a city just a city? Why is it a trap?
Well, what's fascinating here is that you have to look at New Zealand's global brand. You travel there for untouched nature, Maori culture, outdoor character, right?
Yeah, of course.
So Auckland CBD is a business-minded grid of expensive restaurants and standard global boutiques. It suffers from massive urban overcapacity, and it simply doesn't reflect the Kiwi spirit you cross an ocean to experience.
So skip the urban grid entirely. The reports suggest heading straight north to the Bay of Islands. You swap concrete for wild beaches, historic treaty grounds, and actual marine ecosystems.
Exactly. It aligns your itinerary with your actual expectations of the country.
Makes sense. Speaking of expectations, trap number 4 is Queenstown mass tours. Now, Queenstown itself is undeniably stunning, sitting right on Lake Wai-O-Tapu. It's the adrenaline capital of the world.
Oh, for sure.
But the trap here is the logistical spreadsheet. If you get locked into one of those standard, rigid bus tours, you turn a natural wonder into a heavily managed commute.
You entirely lose your agency. I mean, if you aren't doing extreme sports, those rigid schedules feel incredibly restrictive. The landscape is wild, but your experience of it is heavily domesticated.
But aren't those mountain roads notoriously tricky? Doesn't a guided bus make sense for safety?
For some, yes. But you don't need a massive commercial tour to see the best of it safely. Rent a reliable car and take the scenic drive out to Glenorchy. Or hike the Rob Roy track, get the towering peaks and the glaciers, but on an organic schedule that you control.
That domestication of nature sets up our second segment, perfectly manufactured experiences versus authentic Kiwi life. Let's look at trap number 5, Waitomo Caves. The glowworms are famous, but the reports refer to these as karst caves. What exactly makes a cave a karst cave, and why is this one a trap?
So a karst landscape is formed when slightly acidic water dissolves soluble bedrock, like limestone, over millions of years. Yeah. It creates these complex, beautiful underground drainage systems. But the trap at Waitomo is how they've monetized it. It feels like a theme park ride. Multiple boats are shoved into the cavern simultaneously, you're rushed through the dark, and the rules are incredibly strict to keep the conveyor belt moving.
So you completely lose the mystery of being underground.
Entirely.
The alternative is heading to the South Island, which is riddled with private, lesser-known karst caves. You can join small, eco-focused, spelunking groups where you actually appreciate the silence of the geology without feeling like you're on a Disney ride.
Exactly. It brings the awe back to the geology.
Trap number 6 leans even harder into manufactured aesthetics. Hobbiton.
Oh boy.
I had to laugh at a Reddit thread we pulled. One user bluntly described this as a wildly overpriced trip to see, and I quote, holes cut in a guy's paddock.
That's harsh, but accurate for some.
Here's where it gets really interesting. It's a beautifully maintained movie set, sure, but you get off a bus, walk in a tightly structured line, and you cannot wander off the path.
It's highly orchestrated. Now, if you are a die-hard Tolkien fan, you will likely find value in seeing the physical props. But if you're just looking for a genuine rural New Zealand experience, that 2-hour velvet rope tour will feel suffocating.
So what's the authentic move?
Book a high country farm stay. You get the sweeping emerald green hills, but you also experience the actual rural economy. You might help herd sheep, sit down for a meal with the farmers, explore the acreage freely. It's living culture versus a static movie set.
I love that. That brings us to trap number 7, which is monetizing the geology again, the Polynesian Spa in Rotorua. You book it expecting a luxurious, rejuvenating thermal bath. The reality is heavily worn-out infrastructure, massive crowds, and a suffocating, overpowering smell of sulfur.
And it's entirely unnecessary because Rotorua literally sits on a restless volcanic caldera. The geothermal activity is everywhere.
Right. You don't need to pay an admission fee to see Mother Nature bubble. You can walk through Kuro Park right in the center of Rotorua for free. It's a public park with natural steaming mud pools and hot springs. No corporate entry fee required.
Or seek out wild forest hot streams just outside the city. It's authentic geology without the locker room lines.
Okay, trap number 8 is the Agrodome, also in Rotorua. This is a staged indoor sheep shearing show designed to cycle massive tour buses in and out. It's essentially agriculture the musical.
Performative farming. That's exactly what it is. To actually understand the land, you should visit the functioning agricultural sectors. The working wineries in regions like Central Otago or Nelson are incredible.
Oh, that sounds way better.
Right. You can sit down with a winemaker, understand how the glacial soil impacts the grapes, and get a genuine feel for the modern rural economy.
Moving into segment 3, we're looking at family attractions that just don't deliver. Trap number 9 is Puzzling World in Wanaka. It's an illusion and maze park.
The issue here is the spatial capacity.
Yeah, when you pack hundreds of screaming kids into an enclosed wooden maze during peak season, it acts as an acoustic amplifier. The noise is inescapable.
Definitely. If you need to burn off energy in Wanaka, skip the maze and hike Mount Iron. It's a glacially carved, rocky knoll right outside town. You get a fantastic physical challenge, zero claustrophobia, and a panoramic view of the Southern Alps.
Now, trap number 10 stopped me in my tracks when I read the source material. Te Papa Museum in Wellington. It is the National Museum. Wait, a national museum is a trap.
It comes down to modern museology trends. The analytical report highlights that Te Papa relies heavily on gamification. They use bright, interactive, screen-heavy exhibits specifically designed to increase the dwell time of families with children.
Which is great for a 10-year-old, sure. But deep history buffs looking for substance, traditional artifacts, and quiet reflection often leave feeling like they just walk through an arcade.
Precisely. If you want adult culture in Wellington, engage with a living city. Walk Cuba Street, explore the independent art galleries, sit in the cafes. The city itself is the cultural exhibit.
Trap number 11 focuses on simulated experiences. The International Antarctic Center in Christchurch. Now, Christchurch is an official gateway city to Antarctica, which is fascinating.
Very true.
But the center itself charges a massive premium, mostly to let you stand in a cold, wind-chill simulation room.
It's a very high price tag for synthetic weather. A much richer historical experience is driving out to Rotorua on the Banks Peninsula. You get genuine French colonial history. It's the only French settlement in New Zealand. And you can take a small boat out to see rare Hector's dolphins in a stunning volcanic harbor.
Speaking of marine life, trap number 12 is Kelly Tarleton's aquarium in Auckland. Historically, credit where it's due, Kelly Tarleton actually invented the underwater moving floor tunnel.
He did, yeah.
He took curved acrylic panels, built them into old sewage tanks, added a conveyor belt. It revolutionized aquariums globally. But today,
the facility is small, incredibly expensive, and vastly outclassed by modern global aquariums. You're paying a premium to look through scratched acrylic when you are in a country surrounded by vibrant, open oceans.
The report suggests reallocating that budget to go whale watching in Kaikoura. But I have to ask, isn't whale watching in the open ocean notoriously rough? What if you get terribly seasick?
It's a totally fair concern. The waters off Kaikoura feature a deep underwater canyon that causes massive upwellings of nutrients. That's why the whales are there.
Right.
But those currents can be choppy. Just take the motion sickness medication. Because seeing a massive sperm whale breach against the backdrop of snow-capped coastal mountains, it's a profound, wild experience that a moving walkway in a tank can never replicate.
That is a phenomenal visual. All right, let's pivot to segment 4, timing traps and shrinking wonders. Trap number 13 is genuinely a bit tragic. Franz Josef and Fox Glaciers on foot.
This is a stark lesson in climate change and glacial recession.
25 years ago, you could practically walk from the parking lot right up to a towering wall of blue ice. Today, the ice has retreated massively up the mountain.
It really has.
If you walk the valley floor now, you are essentially going on a grueling hike just to look at the terminal moraine. It's just a gray wall of dirt and crushed rock left behind by the retreating ice. It's like looking at the dirt a bulldozer left behind rather than the bulldozer itself.
Which is why the Valley Walk is a trap. If you want to actually interact with the glacier, you have to book a heli hike. Helicopters fly you over the rubble and land directly on the pristine, stable ice high up on the plateau. It requires a financial investment, sure, but it's the only viable way to experience the ice now.
Trap number 14 is commercial zorbing in Rotorua, rolling down a hill inside a giant water-filled plastic ball. It's an iconic New Zealand invention, but the physics of it mean gravity does the work in about 45 seconds.
Yeah, it's over before you know it.
Right. It's an incredibly brief thrill for a hefty ticket price.
It's a fleeting novelty. If you want adrenaline that lasts longer than a minute, redirect those funds to whitewater rafting down the Kaituna River.
Yeah.
To actually navigate the environment, tackle a massive 7-meter waterfall, and get a sustained, authentic rush.
Trap number 15 brings us to Milford Sound, often called the 8th wonder of the world. Calling this a trap sounds like blasphemy, but looking at the geographic layout, I think I understand the problem. Because it's a steep, highly narrow glacial fjord, the sheer rock walls literally act like a massive acoustic amplifier, right?
Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head. If we connect this to the bigger picture, the trap isn't the location, it's the timing. Between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m., a daily armada of diesel buses arrives from Queenstown.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, all those engines, plus the tourist boats idling at the terminal, they create a wall of sound that just endlessly bounces off the cliffs. The majestic silence of the fjord is completely obliterated.
So to fix it, you either book a sunrise cruise before the blitzes arrive, or you drive further south to Doubtful Sound. It's exponentially larger, much harder to access, and the acoustic isolation is profound.
Exactly. You are buying silence.
That timing aspect applies perfectly to trap number 16, Cape Reinga at noon. This is the very top of the North Island where you can watch the hydrodynamics of the Tasman Sea and the Pacific Ocean violently colliding.
It's stunning.
But at midday, the path to the lighthouse is completely swarmed with tour groups.
Sheer volume of people changes the entire atmosphere of what is supposed to be a deeply spiritual site for Maori. The strategy here is a sunrise visit when the cliffs are empty. Afterward, take a short drive over to Spirits Bay. It is deeply isolated, pristine, and famous for its brilliant white quartz sands far away from the camera flashes.
All right, we're into the final stretch. Segment 5, traffic jams in paradise. Trap number 17 is the Tongariro Alpine Crossing on weekends.
This one gets intense.
Seriously, this is a 19.4-kilometer hike across some of the most spectacular volcanic terrain on Earth. But alpine trails have a carrying capacity. On a sunny Saturday, you're sharing that narrow trail with up to 3,000 other people. You are literally hiking up an active volcano in a single-file line.
It completely shatters the illusion of wilderness. When you are staring at the backpack of the person 2 feet in front of you for 7 hours, it's not an adventure, it's a commute.
Yeah, a commute with a view, but still a commute.
Right. If you want epic alpine views without the human traffic jam, tackle the Hooker Valley track at Mount Cook.
Oh, that one handles visitor flow much better. You get jaw-dropping glacial lakes, massive swing bridges, and you actually feel like you are exploring nature, not waiting in line at a theme park.
Exactly.
Trap number 18 is Cathedral Cove on foot. This is the stunning rock archway on the Coromandel Peninsula that you've seen a million times on Instagram.
The reality on the ground is severe, though. The walking track was heavily damaged by recent cyclones, making access difficult. The remaining path is completely exposed to the blistering sun, and the beach itself is perpetually crowded.
It's a punishing walk for a heavily contested photo op.
It really is.
But the alternative here is like something out of a spy movie. Instead of walking, you rent a kayak and paddle out to Donut Island. I read that you actually paddle your kayak through a narrow, dark cave entrance in the rock, and suddenly it opens up into a completely secluded turquoise lagoon hidden right inside a collapsed volcanic crater.
It is an unmatched, private adventure that completely bypasses the terrestrial crowds.
Trap number 19, Wai-O-Tapu in the summer heat. This is the famous geothermal park with the vividly colored champagne pool. So what does this all mean? The trap here is pure meteorology and chemistry. It's like trying to see your breath on a hot summer day. Without cold air to rapidly condense the geothermal steam, the visual effect completely falls flat.
Not only do the visuals fall flat, but the heavy, hot summer air traps the sulfur gases closer to the ground. The blanket of that rotten egg smell becomes suffocating.
So the trick is to go on a cold, cloudy, or even rainy day. The cold air hits the hot pools, generating massive, beautiful clouds of rolling steam. The mineral colors pop against the gray sky, and the cooler air helps suppress the intensity of the smell.
It changes the chemistry of the entire visit.
Finally, we have reached trap number 20, standard tours of Christchurch City Centre. Taking a standard bus tour of the urban grid here often leaves tourists deeply underwhelmed. The city is still heavily marked by the devastating earthquakes of 2010 and 2011.
Right. And while the rebuild is incredible, a lot of the historic architecture was lost, and the urban planning is still in transition.
Yeah, spending a premium to sit on a bus looking at active construction sites and empty lots isn't the best use of a vacation day.
Definitely skip the urban sightseeing tours entirely and drive just outside the city to tackle the Fife track. You get a rigorous, uncrowded hike that rewards you with sweeping, panoramic views where the coastal mountains crash directly into the ocean.
And there we have it. We hit the exact requirement. Exactly 20 New Zealand tourist traps, numbered 1 to 20, matched with 20 structurally superior alternatives. For you listening, you are now armed with a highly efficient, rigorously tested itinerary.
When you synthesize all the data from these overcapacity reports, a very clear lesson emerges. Mastering a destination is entirely about practicing spatial diversification. You have to look at the map, identify the primary funnel, and actively choose to step one valley over.
Because the pristine picture you see online is always hiding the crowd just outside the frame. By shifting your location slightly, or just understanding how acoustic amplification ruins a fjord at noon, you effectively engineer the crowds right out of your vacation.
Which leaves us with a critical thought to consider. We live in an era where every single beautiful coordinate on Earth is instantly geotagged, filtered, and broadcast to millions online.
Yeah.
In a highly mapped, perpetually connected world like that, maybe the ultimate luxury in modern travel is no longer the 5-star hotel or the exclusive tour.
Maybe the true premium experience is simply the ability to find absolute silence. Something to think about the next time you find yourself standing waist-deep in a freezing lake, waiting for someone to move out of your shot. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.